Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wondered who you truly are and what you mean to the world, then do we have the Inclusion Revolution show for you. Today I'll be talking with Sister Jenna, spiritual leader, author, radio and TV personality, founder of the Meditation Museum in Maryland, the co-creator of the Inclusion Revolution CD, and the host of the America Meditating radio show. And that's just what I want to talk with her about today, about discovering who we are, how we can all make a difference, and what we need to do for peace in our own hearts and in the lives of those around us. That, plus we'll talk about Oprah speeches, nightclubs in Miami, the power of 4 a.m., pause for peace, the true meaning of algae, the importance of Mount Abu, and what in the world kale and banana smoothies have to do with anything. Gotcha. So welcome to the show, Sister Jenna. Are you ready to shine?
It is. What an absolute delight. That's the best introduction I've ever gotten in my over 25 years of being on this journey. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. And I would say, but it's a little too early, then my job is done.
It's great. It was great. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad that you could join us and glad that you could enter Michael and I zone as we look at what's going to emerge from this conversation.
I'm very excited about this conversation. It's rare that we go so deep so quickly, which we did before we even got on air. And I'm like, I guess we need to stop and hold on. We'll dive in. So before we dive really deep, I'd like to get a little background on you. So where did you spend your earliest years and where are your parents from?
Okay, so where did I spend my earliest years? At 4, I left Kingston, Jamaica, where I was born.
Yeah.
And we relocated to Miami, where I spent a number of years. We went to New York for about maybe 5 years and then went back to Miami. I think it was too cold for my mother. And so that was the genesis of my upbringing has been in the United States, predominantly in Miami, Florida. And that, I think, opened me up to a lot of culture. But I just knew when it was time for me to move on that I would be sent somewhere else. I had no idea it would have been in Washington, D.C. But here's how it even looks for me, everyone.
Yeah.
My father is Indian from Delhi, India, and my mother is Jamaican African from Jamaica. So I would see my dad going to the temple and worshiping Krishna, and then my mother would come home from the church worshiping Jesus. And she wouldn't always look so happy. And she's got a story that I would talk to you at another time about because she was orphaned at 5 years old. So I used to look at both my parents and wondered, why are they so different? But yet they were worshiping a God that was so different. So I knew with all my heart that God was an interpretation.
That's huge. And that can only mean quite profound things to get that concept at such an early age, because it strips away a lot of the, I don't know another way to put it, either garbage or maybe, for a better word, weight that we then all get saddled with, that we have to try to peel off layer after layer to figure out who we are and what God means to us.
But also the whole concept of religion and God is so language-oriented. It's also a geographic influence, isn't it? You go back in time and every 500 years a new movement begins and a new interpretation of God begins. And here I'm witnessing my father loving God in a baby called Krishna, my mother loving God in a man hung on a cross. So it had me thinking, who is God? And for me now, God is completely an energy that is very pure, which I just don't remember much anymore. And that's why now for me, my focus of God is really connecting the soul's remembrance of an image that He created me in, which I'm trying to remember.
What do you mean, if you don't mind me asking, you don't remember much anymore?
I think I don't remember the divinity and the power and the beauty and the purity that God made me in. That image. You know, in every religious text, there's a saying that God made us in His image. But look at how we're functioning with each other nowadays. This is not the behavior of human beings filled with a lot of godly qualities. We are behaving as children who have put God on the shelf and have a little bit of him left over, or a little bit of the energy of the divine left over. And we're trying our best to be our best, but still we're seeing a different side of ourselves. So I use the word very, very seriously.
Yeah.
Every day I try to remember that image. And in Indian culture, we have the images of the deities.
Mm-hmm.
And so if God's energy is filled inside of my personality, inside of my sanskaras, which is the memory track of the soul, then I'm going to be so loving, so pure, so sweet, so benevolent, so truthful, so strong. And if I find that those qualities are not there, it's clear that I'm not remembering the energy, and I'm now only about me.
Thank you. How do you remember when you're not remembering?
How do I remember when I'm not remembering? Because of an amount of intuitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all carry natural wisdom, natural intelligence of what it means to be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Every scripture has reminded us of steps to take to be a divine person, a godly person, a good person. And our conscience will signal this is not the way to be. It's not the way to be. And so we ourselves begin to search inside, is there a better version for me? Hey, I was just going through TSA a few days ago. There was a lady, she was just hanging on the counter of the TSA like this, like she was doing me a favor as I was coming through the TSA. She was the rudest, nastiest person I'd met in a long time, and she was an officer. And I just passed by her and I said, "Please be a little nicer. It's not good karma." And her reaction was like, "Who are you to tell me about good karma? Da 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 da." And I kept trying to tell her, "You're not getting blessings to behave like this." And she didn't care less, Michael. I walked away a little bit disturbed, and then I could see this long narrative building in my awareness of how ugly people are getting as people. And I forgot what my role was. So when I got to my seat, I sat there and I said, what power was I missing in this scene? I was missing the power to accommodate her limitation, to withdraw from her impurity, and to remember that goodness, that godliness in me, and that maybe I didn't have to say anything to her. Maybe I just had to pass her and just give her good wishes and move on and shut up. In other words, you remember. Your trigger to remind you that God's not with you is that you start to feel peaceless. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm a weird one at the airport. So I'm that guy, either quietly or out loud, who is just sending everybody outrageous amounts of love everywhere I can go, and
Amazing.
seeing what I can do to change everyone's day. So I would have made her my personal mission. You have got to smile before I'm going on.
That's what I was doing, Michael. I was saying, gosh, be good, be a nice person.
Bless
she
you,
wasn't
bless
going to have
it. And then you just go, I send you love, I send you love.
God. Pew! Yeah. I know.
So, how do we remember? Well, first off, not even how do we remember who we are. Who are we?
Pain, trauma, tragedy, discomfort, fear, anxiety. That's now become a signal that basically kind of wakes us up and go, I don't think I'm supposed to be feeling this all the time anymore. So I think that discomfort in the soul is a signal that the soul is saying, I need to think of something else. I need to remember something else. Something else is calling me. I just might not know where to go, what the tools are. So in Raj Yoga meditation taught by the Brahma Kumaris, we teach a 7 days course. The first one is on who am I, the soul. The second one is who is God, the supreme soul. The third one is do you know why you are where you are, karma philosophy. The fourth one is on everything is cyclical. Stop thinking so linear. So be responsible for the choices that you make now because they will come back at you and hit you. You understand? So we give these 7 days classes, and that becomes a sort of a foundation in which you start to think about, well, who am I? I know I'm a living energy.
Mm.
I know I'm a soul in this body, but what type? So we're given a reminder of the highest quality that a personality can become. And then we begin to weigh that personality against all my everyday activities. So if I'm annoyed and anxious and scared and angry or jealous or competitive, I know that's my lower vibration that's speaking.
Mm.
Carolyn May says it best. You're either going to live at the penthouse of consciousness or you're going to live at the basement of consciousness. So the basement is algae, an acronym I use all the time. A for anger,
Mm-hmm.
L for lust,
Yep.
G for greed, A for attachment, and E for ego. That's my basement consciousness. And when I'm in that stage, it's as if I've locked God out.
Mm.
And I've locked good people out. And I've locked the best of me out. So when I'm asking myself, who am I feel like there's something much better to me than an algae mentality.
How do we let go of an algae mentality? And I love that an acronym.
Yeah.
When mainstream, if that's the best way to put it,
Yeah.
news and culture and even what we consider the movies today, when all of that on some level is either driving us down to there or making us think that's where we're supposed to live.
Can you give me another question? Because that's just so frustrating. The cards are stacked up against all of us.
Mm.
There's a percentage of us who are sleeping, and the media feeds that percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And if you and I happen to be scrolling through social media or on television, we get trapped in their vibration. They put something on, it looks like entertainment. We just by chance happen to just give 5-10 minutes of it. But it goes into our consciousness.
Yeah.
And so if I do it for 5-10 minutes today, and then next week I do it for another 10 minutes, and then 1 month later I'm doing it for an hour, then it keeps adding up inside, and I'm not processing it. I'm not digesting this vibration. And the only way I digest it is if you annoy the living daylights out of me, then it comes out. Then I purge about the garbage that's sitting in me. But I shouldn't wait for that moment. And so I recommend something that I'm doing for myself now. I'm definitely going less on social media. I mostly tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do a lot of Facebook and everything else. Antonia handles most of that for me. But I'm also reducing my tweets. I've unfollowed individuals, not because I don't like them, but I don't appreciate the energy that comes from them. So I've chosen to put that away. So I think what everyone now needs to do is to begin to really use the power of conscious choice. If we don't consciously choose the energy that we want in our spirits, then the world will keep dumping its garbage in our spirits. And then we're just going to feel so burdened and heavy. We're going to start to blame people and stop being responsible for ourselves.
Thank you for sharing that. And that gives me, I have not been able to do the Facebook thing. We do a Facebook Live. I love doing that.
Yeah.
But the energy hasn't felt right for me personally to be on Facebook. And it's not saying anything about anyone, but just, I call my wife and we call ourselves, or I call us skittish deer. When the energy doesn't feel right, we're heading for the hills because we're both either sensitive to energy or, like you're saying, we want to ingest energy that helps us get up to that penthouse rather than bringing us down.
And that's what meditation, yoga, and living a life that's noble will get us. If you think with noble thoughts, if you speak with nobility, if you carry yourself with nobility, you're living in the penthouse and your view is incredible. If you decide to live a very average, very low-based vibration, an algae living, then you're in the basement and you really don't even think or imagine there's a better life designed for you, but you're not even able to see it because you don't want to get out of the dungeon of consciousness.
So if people are listening to this, it means they're either wanting out of the dungeon, or they're out of the dungeon going, forgive me, Sister Jenna, holy crap. Because it's like, once you put those glasses on, you see the whole world differently, and you're like, oh my God. So let's say you've climbed up out of the dungeon. You can see what's going on around you. You can see the sleepwalking that's going on around you. You can see even maybe your workplace is filled with algae.
Yeah.
What's an early step we take? Is it going to the cushion, or is there another intermediary step we take and say, I was brave enough to put on the glasses. What do I do next?
Mm-hmm. Look for me or you. I believe in very small steps.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in inviting people to start where they are.
Mm-hmm.
If you're waking up, that's not the big thing. The big thing is staying awake. And so to stay awake, you have to practice to be very honest and very truthful with your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That means to pay attention to what you're thinking, what you're feeling as a result of the unfolding of circumstances around you, and be very truthful. If you're not feeling very well, I'm not. And so I believe the virtue of honesty is such a vital virtue at this point to help us to stay awake and to begin to trust that your openness and your honesty with your life is going to begin to bring forth individuals that will support that. You know, the last 6 or 8 months, I've been deciding to sort of wane off some energies that don't even want to take care of themselves anymore. I thought to myself, if I'm investing so much energy in a person who isn't willing to invest in themselves, and that's like a waste of investment of my funding. Am I going to put my money in a stock that keeps going down and down and down and down? No. So the question is, what part of my being am I not valuing that I would be putting something in myself that's going to waste? So, this honest dialogue, Michael, is so vital for all of us now, because we've been blaming, shaming, criticizing, competing, being jealous with people, and all of that energy that's become the norm in our personality has distracted us from bringing God's love in our spirit, from being noble and a good citizen on the planet, to be able to use our lives in a way that can uplift humanity. To this day, I have never played a game on my smartphone. And people are telling me, oh, you don't know this game? Oh, and this card? And I'm going, I'm sorry, I don't. I want my every second to be useful. And like we were sharing with each other earlier on, don't waste your time. And if you decide to go into something that doesn't seem deep or meaningful, then you choose wholeheartedly, I don't want to be deep right now. I just want to have fun. And I want to be simple, or I want to be silly. But don't let it be that the soul is totally controlling you and you don't know where it's taking you. You've got to pay attention to yourself, that you can be a master of the self.
Woohoo! Let's talk about that. You shared so many profound pieces in there.
Yeah.
And I love what you say about the phone, and I could go off on a whole tangent or resist, but I'm with you like 1,000%. Let's talk about integrity for a moment and what it really means to be truthful to or with our spirit.
It's taken me some time, everyone, to really understand the power of truthfulness in the spirit. I think we go through different stages. One is to be honest with people, but then the other is to be so honest to check if your intentions, if the intention behind what you were thinking, what you're about to speak, what you're about to do, if it's all about you, if it's just for you, do you want something as a result of this? Or is it really from the curiosity to find out what's in you? Who am I? Is there love? Is there truthfulness? Do I wish to offer benefit to everyone around me? rather than just for myself. For example, before we started the show, and I invited all the mothers who have never sat and been in a setting like this before.
I have to tell you, I am so honored. For those who didn't see it, well, I guess nobody saw it because they came in beforehand. You have at least 6, 7, maybe even 8 mothers behind you or in front of you, depending on how you want to call it, who are
they're all sitting in meditation.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to share that image so people had that in their minds.
Yeah. So, right now I've got like 8, 9 wonderful mothers and one older father with us in the room. And they just want to be in meditation with us. So I could have sat here and I could have done my interview with you privately in a little room. I says, come on, if you'd like to join me, come. Because I want everyone to feel good, to be benefited, to learn, to grow. It's not about me, it's about us. And so I think that if you want to weigh your purity of intention and integrity, it's important that you observe if the choice you are about to make is about the coming of us rather than the showing of just you. It should be the coming of us. And both are possible. Both are possible. I think if we think from that generous state of consciousness.
Again, so many directions. I guess the first that I want to go in is what you're describing and having them come into the room. You're saying making it a decision. I talk to people often about making a decision for nutritional density. In fact, a kale and banana smoothie. Let's get more nutritional density. And we can look at nutritional density in all areas of life. But really, in a sense, what you're talking about is energetic or spiritual density. How does this experience, how do these people around me, how did this conversation help add to my existence or the remembering of who I am?
Yeah. And one of the things about right now, the country is so divisive and there's a lot of separation conversation going on. There's a lot of anxiety. Okay, yes, I'm half Indian. I'm half African. I'm raised in America. These beautiful Indian mothers that are sitting in this room are all from India. They've been married to one spouse. They've educated their children. They've grown them up. They're trenched in their values that come from the East. I'll just say, it's not like we have a lot in common, but we do. We have love for God. We have love for a better humanity. And we're wishing to be our best. So that brings us together. Who cares if your value system is left and this one is right? But the fact that we can still understand and live together and grow together and belong together, because there's got to be some common ground that every human being connects on. And I believe that if we start to connect to God's love and purity and peace, we will become clean-hearted people. And then we won't care if you're black or if I'm white, if you're Muslim or if I'm Jew, if you're rich and I'm poor. That language is so old, Michael. It is so old that I can't even believe in the 21st century people still believe that the color of their skin is superior than another. It's ridiculous.
It begets the question, kind of I don't know, a stack the deck question here, but I already know the answer. But are we all one?
We are one. We're one and we're connected to each other. So if my brothers who were flying the plane on 9/11/2001, if those brothers on that plane flew those planes into the World Trade Building and killed thousands of my other brothers and sisters, my question is, what happened to them inside?
Yeah.
It wasn't about being Muslim. It wasn't about the fact that 14 of them were Saudis. It's not about the fact that they're this or they hate America. What is in the algae of these souls? What's the element of the algae that is destroying my brothers and sisters? That's the conversation we need to have. We need to take personal accountability to becoming godly, divine, pure. And I'm not speaking sweetness.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you and I are not honest with our conscience, we're going to destroy ourselves.
Thank you. So I want to dive more into, strange to say, I want to dive more into the algae in a second. But I was having a conversation with my mom a couple days ago in Florida. And she was saying that in light of everything that she was saying in the world around her, she had a very hard time believing that there's a God. what would you tell to my mom?
I would say I agree. Because I would tell her, Mom, I agree. We know this energy, we've been conditioned to believe the energy of God is so supreme. Why didn't he save my family in the World Trade Center? Why is it that he's got America going through so much? Why are people in the Congos? Why is there still genocide? Why are there a billion children without proper drinking water? Why are there over a billion young girls that are still being trafficked for sex? Why is it that there's so much nastiness because of algae? And I would say, Mom, I think we've forgotten him. And it's definitely a time for us to remember God now more than ever. And the thing is, how do I remember him? I have to turn my attention inside and begin to see my own self truthfully. Have I been clean? Have I been pure at heart? And immediately you and I will say, well, I kind of been naughty. And then I'd say, okay, I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to think this. I shouldn't have done this. Now, how do I repair this? I start to do good actions. We call it in Hindi. I start to do pure karma, punya karam, pure karma. I start to wash the dishes peacefully. I start to sweep my floor more lovingly than out of compulsion. I start to look at people with more meaning, that I really want to see you. I really want to hear what you have to say. And you start to feel like your energy of care and pure energy of care starts to come back to the surface. Then, and only then, when you're in this purely positive state, can you then begin to access God's remembrance, the loving energy, the quality of God, which is an expansion of your personality. So where do you go to connect to God? First thing is inwards. Just go inside and get back to your pure personality, something about you that was once good. And then say, I know God's the supreme. I know you're the ocean of what was good. At this moment, I need love. And then you start to tap into God, you're the ocean of love. I know that. You made me in your image. I need to pay you back this gift. It's my life's duty to return that love to all of your children and back to you. So then you start to have this dialogue with God, bringing back this loving energy in you. And then your mom will start to feel, I'm activating God now. So then she realizes the energy of God is a personal choice for people to make. It's a personal responsibility. So if she starts to do it, you start to do it, next door neighbor starts to do it, he does it, she does it, and everybody starts to do it, your mom will say, I can see God everywhere now.
Woohoo!
And it's true, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it.
We'll use Mom. Mom, I love you so much. And she may well listen to this show. If I was to share this with Mom, and I'm using Mom as kind of a metaphor for others here, she may say, I'm really scared, of what I may find on the inside, and or I may feel really guilty about what I find when I take a true, honest look inside of myself.
I think if Mom comes up with that answer, she really is taking the real journey, because those are some of the feelings and the experiences that we encounter when we start to go inwards. And so I would tell Mom, just enter one room at a time. She doesn't have to go into the whole house of her being and figure out who she is. It'll be, she'll recognize herself in an encounter with somebody. She doesn't have to go in and look at all the debris. She just has to make a declaration, I'm ready to make the change. And then she observes how she's responding to people. And through her response, she starts to check, okay, now I think you could do a little better. What would God say here? What would God do in this situation? And then she'll start to tweak her personality a little bit at a time. For so many years, I've come to the foregone conclusion, don't go into spirituality or religion or mysticism thinking you're supposed to get massively enlightened and then you go back up and that's it. I don't believe it. I think when you get onto the path of awakening and you get into any mystical practice or spiritual practice, you're on the path to value every moment of your life. And then you're hopeful and you're faithful that your last breath will lead you to a destination that'll be even more beautiful than what you lived. That to me is enlightenment.
Woohoo! How do we get to a place on this journey? And what's the importance of forgiveness and, most importantly, perhaps, self-forgiveness?
There are two ways I'd like to look at forgiveness. Imagine we've all come here with our preordained script. We've come here with our blueprint. So whatever has happened to me or to you was written to happen.
Yeah.
Do I really need to forgive anybody? Just giving you that as an option, right? If I've come here with a script, deja vu, I go to psychics, I go to numerologists, I go to astrologers, I go to mediums. Oh, tell me what's going to happen to me. Because is there something already written for me to have to go through and nothing I can do will change it? I don't know. But let's just say, for example, we do come with our preordained script. Do I need to spend the rest of my life hating this person for doing what they've done to me? Or do I need to spend the rest of my life saying, that was my script, nothing new, let me move on? That's one option. The second option, let's say I don't believe this is preordained, and that person should have never done that to me. And I hate it that I received sorrow from this situation, or I hate it that I gave sorrow to this situation. Time. We all need time.
Yeah.
Events, circumstances, situations will trigger the memory of the moment. I'll feel it. I'll feel pain. I feel like my conscience is biting me. And I know that if I don't forgive myself, I am no longer living. I'm dead. So am I going to be a corpse walking around smiling and acting like everything is okay? I'm not going to be released.
Yeah.
So if I choose to forgive myself, I'm saying, kiddo, when you wake up, you know you're going to have to stay awake, right? So you decide, do you want to stay a corpse? Or do you want to be alive and play the game? Which one? So when I'm feeling pretty disappointed with Jen, I allow myself to accept that feeling. I don't want to lie to myself. And I'd say,
thank you.
You wasted time here, you know. You could have done better. You knew better. But okay. Okay. So now what do you want to do? And what I'll do is little by little, every day and every morning, I'll keep nurturing specific thoughts that are really based on my true worth and my true essence. And I wait for that day when it will just click. And I'll wake up and go, oh, I'm good now. I'm okay. Because you and I cannot forgive ourselves by just saying, I forgive you, let's move on.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. So every day I have to nurture myself with the right kinds of thoughts that are basically reminding us that, hey, you know, you need to behave, you need to be better, think better.
What we've been talking about, many of them, so forgive me if we're kind of being duplicitous, but what are more of the, as you say, the right kind of thoughts?
The right kinds of thoughts for me are thoughts that are based on, it's like I feel like there's a deity being carved inside of me.
Wow.
And if there isn't a deity, there's an angel being carved inside of me. Or there's a superhero being carved inside of me. Like I just know that the energy of this role, this part, this personality is waiting to surface. So then I think about what are the qualifications? What would they think? How would they speak? What are the choices they would make? How would they, it's as simple, everybody, it's as simple as how you sit at a table, how you eat, how you enter your car, get out of your car, how you drink a glass of water. Do you chug it down? Or do you really be very mindful and aware and then you and you value the moment.
Mm.
So what I'm saying is take these very simple steps and be very integrous, like very, that's not the word, be very sincere with every choice that you make, and you will find that there'll be power in what you do. It'll start to just come up in you.
Woohoo!
Mm-hmm.
The word sacred comes to mind.
Sacred, sincere, yes.
What's
We
the
have to move into sacred times.
amen, amen, amen to that? I'm just thinking, if we kept that in mind, if we viewed everything as sacred, like this conversation, I'm here and I'm stepping back from here going, wow, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe how special. Stop it. Let's even be more focused. This is truly sacred. But when we get how special these moments can be, and everything can be, and I do mean everything,
Yeah.
it changes the landscape entirely.
Yeah. I mentioned to you earlier that I'm in Orlando for the PGA merchandise show.
So cool.
And I've been playing golf for 2 years. And who would ever think a yogi nun sister is on a golf course? And I've often thought golf was so boring. But here I am 2 years later at the PGA merchandise show in Orlando, meeting golf legends. Renee Powell, Lee Elder, the first African American to play in the Masters, and Renee Powell, the first African American woman to be inducted in the Hall of Fame for golfing. And so here I'm sitting here with these incredible African Americans who are all major players in the game, but they're not allowed to get to a higher level because a group of individuals consider their sport to be very elitist and only for a specific few. So here I am sitting in this meeting with a diversity group wanting men, women, black, white, transgender, gay, straight, Republican, Democrats, all now to get on the course and play golf and say golf is for everyone because it's spiritual, it is mystical, it has a lot of healthy benefits to it, and it's beginning to trying to break down the stigma that it's only for a specific group. So we're so caught up in this limited way of seeing ourselves and other people that we miss a lot of opportunities. So the point I'm making is step out of your box and try something new and speak to someone different and be interested in hearing the heart of another human being. And I guarantee you, you will always learn more about yourself.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. A real crazy aside that I never thought I'd bring up on the show, but you say golf as mystical. So I go home, I visited my folks. My dad has to go shopping to buy some lox, some salmon, and some other ingredients because they're giving him a plaque for golf because he accidentally shot a hole in one. This is we'll call him a hack golfer who people can't believe that Mark Sandler got a hole in one. And I'm saying this was a gift from God. Truly, synchronicities like these things don't happen by accident. It's part of your path, and it's telling you, reminding you, calling you for something.
Absolutely. I have an article in the Huffington Post called Mystical Golfing. Please read it, because it's all about how sports can connect us to a deeper place in ourselves. In other words, if your spirit, if your soul is cultivating love for God, then every action you perform would be pure karma. And there'll be no regrets, no guilt, no sorrow. There'd only be the feeling that my fortune is increasing, my fortune is expanding, my life is getting better. And everyone around you benefits from that. Everyone.
I was a pro cyclist for many years, and toward the end of my career, and it shifted because I just felt this need to do more for others rather than try to win a race for myself. And toward the end, I can remember going to this race. I was real concerned about it. Am I going to fall? This is a really difficult course. And I went at that time. I was going to temple on Friday nights, a Jewish temple Friday nights, Christian church Saturdays. I was also participating in Navajo ceremonies, and so I'm getting this whole range of spirituality. But I went in this race to a Jewish prayer called the Shama, praising God's name, and I sang God's name through this race, like in tears. The love that I felt was incredible, and I did something. I won a prize in this race. I did phenomenally well, which wasn't supposed to happen, but it was a praising of God. That's what the race was, and I'm looking at everybody around me with such total and complete love by putting myself, like putting yourself into a mantra, putting yourself and repeating that remembrance.
But you can feel it, right, Michael? It's a time for all of us to remember God now. It just feels like it's a no-brainer. And whether you're Jewish or Catholic or Christian, no one's born with a religion. We're born with purity. We're born with peace. And we need to bring back that energy in our spirits. And I could feel as everything breaks down and the discomfort that our souls are feeling, that we turn to this, we turn to that, we turn to this country, we turn to that job, it's not even working anymore. So there is a cry out. There's definitely the whole drama is kind of signaling to us, go inwards and go upwards. It's now time for a mystical, real life experience between you, the soul, and the Supreme Soul. I love the image behind me that we use at the Brahma Kumaris centers. It's where it's like a light form, but the light form is actually a form of consciousness that has no vibration of anger, lust, greed, attachment, and ego. And if we can start to practice every day to have a thought that is no longer influenced by algae, we will start to feel our godlike self emerging, the deity emerging, the superhero emerging, the angel emerging. And that when you cycle or you go swimming, or you go for a nature walk, it's as if God is with you. When you sit on your couch, you choose what you want to watch or listen to, because the energy of that sacredness is traveling with you now, and you value it. You know, at the PGA thing, everyone's looking at me, you're a golfer? And they just looked me up and down, and it was like 9 out of 10 people came to me and said, "You're so peaceful. Your whole presence is so calming." So I used that as the thank you. It's my lifestyle. That's all I told them. It's just my lifestyle, because I know that the God energy is what's working there.
Woohoo! What do you mean when you say the soul needs perfect silence?
Silence refuses no one. The reason why I say that is there was a stage that we all had as living beings where we weren't attached to negative or waste emotions or waste experiences of the past. We've lost our silence power. We've lost our peace because we're attached to negative experiences that we cannot forget. So, if we try to understand that silence really is an absence of waste or negative emotions, then we're actually saying, well, silence refuses no one. I have my power of silence. Now, people say if you see atrocity or injustice, don't stay silent. So if I see injustice, if I'm losing my peace in speaking about the injustice, I too have committed an unjust to my spirit, and an unjust to the environment, and an unjust to the same situation that I'm trying to find solutions for. So let me remember that silence is golden. Silence is golden. God is silence. Silence will not refuse me. And then let me speak from that place of silence and see what solutions can emerge. So silence to me, Michael, is an absence of waste and negative thinking. That's simple.
Thank you. Thank you. How do we, what's the importance of asking, am I at peace with myself?
The importance of asking, am I at peace with myself, is to continue with the narrative of being honest with my spirit. I can be a Christian, I can be a Brahma Kumaris, and if I don't have the thermometer to gauge if I'm being peaceful or not, I can be a very angry Christian, and I can still tell you I'm Christian. I can be a very angry Brahma Kumaris and say, I'm a Brahma Kumaris, who cares if I'm angry? I'm just working on myself. But when you ask yourself, am I at peace? Your soul cannot lie to you. You will know immediately you've not been very peaceful. So then you would make that effort to bring your peaceful nature back as you practice being a Brahma Kumar or Kumari, or you practice being a Jew or a Muslim or a Democrat or a Republican or an American or an African or a Haitian or you know what I'm saying? So you'd bring that quality of peace into the role that you're given to play. And you will not determine your peace or peacelessness based on the color of your skin, your religion, or your political party. You will base your peace based on your honesty and integrity with your spirit.
Thank you, because as I hear those names and those rules, I immediately step back and I go, whoa, I think we have to move past the titles now, don't we?
Yeah, we have to. It's on my CD. I have a beautiful track on my latest CD called Inclusion Revolution. It's called Free of Attachments. And the purpose of that track is to remind us that if we let go of the attachments, the wellness of experiences of divinity will just automatically start to surface. And it's one of my favorite tracks on the album.
Thank you. And I want to ask you more about that. I'm going to do so in one question. Before that, I feel like since we're talking about this divisiveness or these labels, these rules, how do we bring about a world of greater compassion and peace?
Okay. Now we know that the world's collapsing in consciousness. And if we keep allowing the emotions and the negativity to keep coming in, we can't help it. So it's like, you know, the sun is hot, but you haven't been there. But you know it's hot, but you've never been there. So I can sense something's not right. Something's not going well energetically. So you feel like something's going to crumble, but also something has to be established. So where do I support my energy? To the crumbling or to the establishment? So you have to make that decision. So personally, and I'm sure you're involved too, we feel like our energies are more, it will be more useful if I move into the establishment of a culture, of a civilization, of a society that thrives for everyone. And so I have to remove my prejudices from within my own being.
Thank you.
My own divisiveness from within my own being, my own criticism and negativity and jealousies from within my own being, in order for me to start to help others. And now how do I do that? If I observe a situation in front of me and I'm watching myself making a prejudice over a relationship with someone, I would check and I would say, now that's not right. You know that's God's child, right? And you know that you're God's child too, right? So send good wishes to that person. I wish that soul to be benefited. I really want them to be okay. So you have to keep using the game of thought. Then you can use words if you wish, but let it not be hidden in your actions. That your actions show that you are there to bring benefit to humanity. Don't just think it, but your actions must begin to show that you are there to bring benefit to humanity. So there are two wolves existing right now. The wolf that's greedy, arrogant, attached, angry, and there's the wolf that's divine, pure, helpful, cooperative, and humble. Which one do you wish to feed? That's where you wake up.
Woohoo! So then, thank you so much, Sister Jenna. Can you tell us about the Inclusion Revolution, who you teamed up with, and how in the world this came together?
Well, because of all the issues that are going on in America, I've never been with a hip-hop artist. I have my reservations and I had my prejudices. I thought that they were individuals that are just in another genre. and I couldn't relate to them. So I found Joe Robb on my Twitter handle, and I contacted Joe Robb, and I realized that he has a very good talent. So I asked him, could you do a meditation CD? He responded to me and said, have you heard my music, sister? I go, I didn't listen to your music with the words, because I know it said explicit, and I didn't want those words in my consciousness, but I did hear your sound, and the sounds were really good. And for some reason, I think you can help me with this meditation CD. So Joe Robb and I, with a hip-hop artist and a yogi, I took the words from the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the preamble, the resistance movement, the Articles of the Independence, and I basically looked at the words and meditated on the words. I wanted to understand what our founding fathers meant, and that since we all feel that we belong to the story, how could I recite these meditations that would be an invitation for everyone? And that's what I did with Inclusion Revolution, Together with Love, that I just wanted everyone to go over the Constitution, the laws of this land, what the founding fathers meant, and to see that we can all thrive together if we're willing to be honest and communicate and talk to one another, but also to come from a place from within. And that's the album, and I love it dearly. And everyone should get a copy because it supports a higher energy. It's not a Zen meditation CD, but it's a CD that when you're moving, you're thinking like, yeah, that is what the Constitution meant. We are the people. We the people. Yes, we the people means this. And it becomes a great conversation piece too. It really meant a lot to me. I love it.
So then where can people go on that note to find out more, to find it, and to find your beautiful show as well?
Okay, so definitely for the CD, you can go to Amazon, iTunes, what have you. You can get it online. But you have to Google Inclusion Revolution Together with Love by Sister Jenna. You can also go to my website, americameditating.org, and subscribe to all the myriad of activities and programs that are being offered there. For the international and national viewers, we have meditation centers of the Brahma Kumaris in 120 countries with over 9,000 branches. So if you're ever curious about deepening your spiritual journey, just go to brahmakumaris.org. That's BRAHMAKUMARIS.org. And the sisters and the brothers will take great care of you if you happen to just be really curious about knowing yourself more.
Beautiful. And if you didn't catch americameditating.org and brahmaskumaris.org, come on over to inspirenationshow.com and we'll get you over to americameditating.org and brahmaskumaris.org as well. Just a few last kind of wrap-up questions before maybe we jump into a brief meditation. First off, at this point in your career, what is your mission or your deepest wish for humanity?
I wish for humanity to be honest with itself. I just want everyone to be honest.
Powerful.
We don't have to be perfect, but just be honest. And pay attention that you're not giving sorrow from it to anyone, and that you're not taking sorrow from anyone. And just start to remember God more. That's it.
Thank you. If I was to take off my coaching hat and put it on you now, I want to give people, I don't like people to just listen to the show. I want them to have one concise action, or it could be a couple, to take after this so that they can take action today. So what one homework assignment would you give people today?
Start writing down your deepest thoughts, your honest thoughts. Write down those thoughts that you don't want anyone else to see. Because that's the part of you that God will access. He doesn't care about your ego thinking. He cares about what you're trying to hide from the world. And if you can clean that part out of your consciousness, you will live a free life. So write down those thoughts that are troubling you, that you don't want anyone else to know. And let God know, this is who I am. Clean it out of me. And that step you take every day will help you to be liberated. And if you're liberated, you can help others to be liberated. But please be careful that no one finds those notes that you're writing down. Feel free to write them and burn them. Don't leave them around the house for your teenage kids or your spouses to see. It's private. It's about you and God. And so just be sensible as well, okay?
I'm glad you said to burn them, because to me there is a lightness of burning it, of transmuting it, of getting it out, of purging it, and then transmuting it from paper to ash.
Yes, yes, yes. I agree. So that's what I would recommend everyone to do. Please start where you are. Be strong, be courageous, use everything good that you know, that you have. I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard, but I do hope that you will feel the sincerity of my call and my wish for you, because I know it's my wish for myself.
Thank you. You mentioned something in there we didn't really touch on. Well, we did. It's all about this, but we didn't touch on it specifically. In essence, you said prayer.
Mm-hmm. Prayer, meditation, reflection, introspection will give us a chance to be attentive. It'll give us a chance to be able to catch subtle signals that I miss when I'm so engaged and so externalized. And I also believe it helps us to become more humble, to be a little bit more reflective, and to listen, and to be a better listener. Because good listeners will always care about the well-being of others.
Amen. What advice would you give? Jessica, she's my wife, she's the producer. She always wants me to give ask a question for parents and their kids. What advice would you give to help parents with their kids today?
A very good friend of mine, Diane Tillman, has done a great book on the parenting guide, which is helping kids to understand and navigate the times that we're in. I think it's so important to spend time with your children now, to really talk to them and to go out with them and try to share, not impart, but share some of your life experiences of what you've learned growing up. And so my advice, spend more quality time with your children and share your stories with one another and listen to your kids. The last thing, please observe what you can see is their strength, and see if you can nurture that quality, because if that's where their passion is and their glory, they'll be forever grateful that you were sustaining that, instead of try to make them what you think they should be. Look out for what is that little extra special thing about your child and nurture it, and help them along the way. As they grow, they will make their decisions.
Woohoo! On that note, and thank you so much. What personally brings you the greatest happiness, or what I call the woohoo factor?
I think it's just when I'm being so truthful. It's like my every scene, being with somebody, getting on a conversation, being with you, something like I'm just in a very truthful place. Like I don't have to pretend or project. I'm just in a very truthful place. And that makes my woohoos really deep and loud. So I get my aha moments from being in that place. And I love comedy. I love laughing. So I just love comedy. And I just love people.
Nutritional density.
Mm-hmm.
So any last words of wisdom? Okay, and the love side of things. I'm loving this conversation. Thank you. I'm like a puppy dog in my chair. I think the number of times I've clapped, I don't know if people can see it on video or not. I'm just like, oh, goody, candy, more candy. We needed this, Sister Jenna. We needed this so much.
I love it.
Any last words of wisdom you want to share before we dive into a brief meditation?
It's not as bad as you think it is. Your life isn't as bad as you think it is. And you're not alone. And God is so available right now. Just remember the energy of purity and goodness. And with that, I would like to lead us into a simple meditation. Take a deep breath and imagine all these mothers are with us, and they're also creating a lot of loving vibrations. I can put them on air at the end of the interview if you'd like.
Love it, love it, love it.
Take a deep breath and imagine what it would be like if you weren't attached to your name. Just imagine what it would be like if you weren't attached to your gender, to your roles, your title. What would it be like if I wasn't attached to my religion, my country, my language? What if I just stopped being attached to this body and how it looks? Who would you think of if you had no more attachments to matter? And who would think of you? How would you feel? So in this awareness, you would begin to feel the energy of God's love and vibrations. And you start to feel free and pure. If you put on your gender and your title and your religion, you could see if you could bring the quality of this meditation experience into the roles that you're playing. Can you bring your freedom with you, your love with you, your peace with you? Then you can be the best Jew, the best transgender, the best woman, the best man, the best Republican, the best Democrat, the best president, the best congressperson, senator, mother, father. If you can bring the energy of your remembrance of God's love into the role that you're playing, then everyone can get along and everyone can be at peace. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Woohoo! This has been
Michael.
so phenomenal, so phenomenal. I'll say some wrap-up words, but then please bring them in. Bring in
the mothers?
Yes, we will keep the cameras rolling here.
Okay.
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, check out the Inclusion Revolution, and begin remembering at a deep soul level today, and shine bright.
Woohoo! Here they come.
Yay,
I lost a few of them.
yay.
Look at them. Come on over here. Oh.
Blessings.
Om
Shanti. Thank you so much for holding such beautiful space. We could feel you.
Yes, aren't they lovely? And all of these mothers are dedicated, helping the community. They're all over maybe 60, 70 years old, retired, and they have given their life in service to the greater humanity. Some of them are educated, some of them are not, but nobody cares. They're just here loving everyone up.
Hi. It's all heart. It's all heart. And you guys are on a mission and on fire. I can feel it.
They sure are. They've taken such good care of me.
Oh, beautiful.
Isn't that lovely?
Thank you guys so much. And Sister Jenna, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michael.
This has been such an honor and such a beautiful treat.
It's been a blessing for me. Thank you so much. I can't wait to continue our relationship, our dialogue, and our service to humanity.
amen on all of the above. And I can't go without saying that's a mighty woohoo!
Wow, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!